Hey guys, my name is Jordan Oglesby, and this video is going to be about Hunting the Woolly Mammoth by Tatiana Tolstaya. So this story was actually part of a collection of other short fiction stories in her book called On the Golden Porch. The collection also included Date with a Bird and The Poet and the Muse, which were part of this week's reading. So first, I just wanted to give a little backstory on Tatiana. If you didn't already know, she's actually the great grandniece of Leo Tolstoy. She likes to write at length about ordinary life and the banality of how crushing it can be, which I personally found really interesting to follow. She also intertwines imagination into her writing, which I'll talk about a bit later, but basically how it interconnects with ordinary life and how you have to really be imaginative to get through some things. In her writing, she also tends to reference Russian folklore, which we see a lot in the story Date with a Bird. But anyways, more about Hunting the Woolly Mammoth. So, first off, it focuses on the relationship between Zoya and Vladimir, told from Zoya's point of view. She starts off the story by giving a great description of the character of Zoya by writing, "Zoya's a beautiful name, isn't it? Like bees buzzing by. And she's beautiful too. A good height and all that. Details, alright. Here are the details. Good legs, good figure, good skin, the nose, eyes, all good." So, right away we encounter this woman who is truly very in touch with her image. And from that, she feels she's entitled to a lot of attention. On the opposite side of things, we have Vladimir, an engineer who is actually constantly looked down upon Zoya because, a lot of reasons, mostly because he isn't a surgeon and he doesn't give her the attention that Zoya wants him to give her. Zoya also focuses a lot on his image, especially with his facial hair and, his brute-like appearance. But soon the main theme is revealed because of her obsession with marriage. Throughout the story, she's trying to hunt down Vladimir and essentially make him commit to her and actually marry her. All of her friends are married, everyone her age is married, and she actually finds it pretty terrible that, they're already living together and yet he hasn't actually married her yet. So that's a problem. But another problem is their living situation as well, because she gets really mad about the fact that he only leaves a toothbrush at her apartment. And yet, when she talks about Vladimir, she uses words like disgusting and a louse, and even repulsive as words to explain him. However, her hunt to get married continues by her making life at her apartment as comfortable as possible for Vladimir. She's also pretty insecure at times because she's threatened by the smallest chance that Vladimir could leave her, and yet she contradicts that fact in itself because she will throw a fit sometimes or just all kinds of things when she doesn't get the attention she thinks she deserves, and almost makes it seem that she wants him to leave her. But anyways, the story itself is quite short, only about 10 or so pages. But even through the first read, it was a little confusing. The second time around, it was really fun to follow. But in the story, Zoya sometimes hallucinates or will think about these situations which she wants to be in and which she obviously is not. For example, Vladimir surprises her with a trip to see an artist, and right away Zoya imagines that this artist is going to be so taken aback by her image and just demand that she be the artist's muse, and whatever work of art the artist will create will be a spectacular work of art and it will have to be guarded. And instead, in reality, in ordinary life, the artist they visit is actually really quite weird, and in the end, Zoya ends up not getting any attention from the artist, but also no attention from Vladimir. This fantasy is actually pretty important because at the end of the story, it turns out that Zoya is again threatened by the idea that Vladimir will leave her. So she has this imaginary voice, I think it's the imaginary voice of a pigeon, tell her that he actually is going to leave. So she decides that can't happen and ends up strangling him. It was a great ending, but I think it definitely deserves a lot more discussion, or I think it should have been continued into a longer story. But as for the evaluation of the story, it was really interesting to see some themes pop up immediately, especially since it was a short fiction story. On the one hand, we have opposites. You have the easygoing guy, Vladimir, set against this gentle yet crude woman, Zoya, who is constantly very unsatisfied with what Vladimir has to offer. We also have the idea of Vladimir being the woolly mammoth, and she's the hunter, especially because of his brute-like appearance and his beard, and her hunt after him in pursuit of a marriage. But in the end, I really enjoyed her style of writing because, like I said before, it focuses on ordinary life. I like her imaginative twists, like the references to woolly mammoths or talking pigeons. It's really easy to follow and really fun to read because you get so invested in these characters and you don't even have to have a lot of backstory on them to know already what kind of character they're going to be. My only gripe would be that, at least from the 3 different stories I read from her, I sometimes would really like the stories to be continued. They all seem to end on a cliffhanger, which, is a good thing because it only leaves the reader wanting more. But if it did continue, and that did happen, we could get more of the information we need to instead of just guessing about the ending. But all in all, I would say it's a very successful story to draw readers in, and I would highly suggest it as a read for anyone. Thanks.